Hi, AUMC family. My name is Amy Gerhart, and I'm the lead pastor here at the church. And thanks for joining us for today's Wednesday devotion. It's an opportunity to pause and just kind of take our spiritual life temperature for the week, but also to get our hearts and our spirits ready for worship on Sunday morning as well. And as you know, throughout the month of January, we have been thinking about waiting rooms, those places and those ways and those experiences in all of our shared lives where we wait on the promises of God. And this coming Sunday, we are going to do that waiting in a place that we have all been, waiting on hope in times of death and loss. You know, we haven't been able to ritualize and practice our life together when we've been so struggling and so heavy with losses in our lives due to COVID and other losses. While we have tried to create memorial experiences and funeral experiences as the church through these past 10, 11 months, we know that we haven't been able to gather and to grieve in the ways that we are accustomed and those ways that we have ritualized our practices in life as a church. And so this coming Sunday, we are actually going to have a service of memorial, a memorial service that we would be having in the name of many of our loved ones and friends. But we can't. We haven't been able to gather in those same ways through COVID. And so we invite you to share the name or names of loved ones and friends that you would like to have lifted up in this service of worship. This coming Sunday will be a live service, which means that we will be putting it on and sharing it live from the sanctuary at 8 a.m. You'll still be able to tune into that service through our YouTube channel at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. And then it will also be recorded and available following 8 a.m. on Sunday morning as well. Unfortunately, because of our COVID realities, we still can't have folks worshiping in the pews, but we know that there might be a special connection made because we will be having live worship and live preaching and reading of the scripture from our sanctuary while we continue to worship in our homes. And as we get ready for this service on Sunday, February 31st, I thought I'd draw from the wisdom of one of my favorite poems, Mary Oliver. She's one of my favorite poets, and out of her book called Thirst, she writes a poem called Heavy. And there's some images in this poem from which I'd love to draw for this Wednesday devotion. Listen to her words and this invitation into these waiting rooms of grief and healing. That time I thought I could not go any closer to grief without dying. I went closer, and I did not die. Surely God had his hand in this, as well as friends. Still I was bent, and my laughter, as the poet said, was nowhere to be found. Then said my friend Daniel, brave even among lions, "It's not the weight you carry, but it's how you carry it. Books, bricks, grief. It's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, and carry it." I love this powerful image from Mary Oliver about how to do waiting in times of grief and loss. She uses this image of dealing with the weight of grief by embracing it, balancing it, and carrying it. Think of the times of grief and loss in your own life, and you may be living through that season right now, in fact. Think about, first of all, how we can embrace seasons of waiting in times of grief and loss. So many times we want to run from those experiences, and the scriptures have told us the experiences of life and death and life after death cause us to shrink and be small. But what kind of power would we know if we embraced that season, not as though we liked it or wanted it, but as a season that God can touch us and work in us and heal us in a new way? Another idea she gives us for waiting on grief and healing is to balance the power of being in that waiting room. How can we balance with honesty the grief that we're carrying and also the call to continue to rise every day, to live our lives and love in our relationships, even now as we are new people, as we embrace and balance grief. And then that third image she uses of carrying our grief, and putting it in a part of us that is dear and that is held. We never want to forget the person we love. We never want to forget their impact on our lives. And so we carry that in a part of who we are and how we live. We will never be the same again because of this experience, but our empathy can grow, our compassion can deepen, and our faithfulness can be strengthened as we see those ways that God has walked with us, sometimes holding us, sometimes carrying us, even as we carry this grief and healing in our lives. So as we go into this day, and as we reflect on this Wednesday devotion, I remind us that it's not whether or not we find ourselves in the waiting rooms of grief and loss, because, my friends, we will. But she suggests that it's how we carry it, how we embrace it, how we balance it, how we carry that grief and healing in our lives, as we trust in God, as we rely on others, and as we walk into a future unafraid. Join us for worship this Sunday as we celebrate a God who meets us in the pit, who finds us in our waiting rooms, who draws us into a new future of healing, and who helps us face that future unafraid. Thanks be to God.